diverse, we chase the light. Cohort Season 7 rise. On the blockchain we are wise. Innovation in our eyes.
But yeah, Deacon and Tay asked me to come and talk about what's it like to be a builder and some of my experiences. And so I took that as open-ended as I possibly could. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about my journey and some of the things that I've learned working in crypto full-time for a very long time, with some inspiration, hopefully, for people that want to be builders or that are already builders and need some reminders about things. And yeah, so feel free to ask questions at the end. And yeah, so this is the spirit of the builder. Just a little bit about me. I'm Joseph. I first got into Solidity development in 2017. I was studying computer science. I had a project. I had a group project in a sustainability urban planning class that I took, and this girl Renee was in my group project with me, and I had a huge crush on her. And she said, "Hey, you're in computer science. Did you ever hear of Solidity, the programming language?" Oh, is there too much water? Sorry, let me move. I got fish tanks behind me. I'll pull the video on later.
I thought you were in a bathtub. I was just imagining that. That's nice.
Yeah, hopefully this is a bit better. What was that? Oh my gosh. I forgot Raid Gill has all the sound effects. So yeah, basically I was in this group project with Renee, and she asked me if I knew what Ethereum was or what Solidity was, and I was really into learning new programming languages. I had, just learned Python and Ruby and Go and all, I was just trying to learn as many as I could. And I said, well, I know I never heard of Solidity, but I'm going to learn everything I can about it to impress her over the weekend. So I started just learning everything I could about Solidity. Um, Eventually got introduced to someone who worked at Consensus, and then I joined Consensus like 3 or 4 months later. Now it sounds scattered. Oh man, let me switch to Wi-Fi.
This is pretty good. You're good now. Unless you muted. Unless we lost him. You guys scared him off. Thanks, y'all.
Hey, all right, now it should be good. Sorry, guys. How's that? Oh yeah, much better. Now it's not degraded. Sweet. So yeah, you can learn things very quickly if you go into them very deeply and don't focus on anything else. And now Renee is working at the Celestia Foundation, and nothing ever happened there. But you meet these people, and just meeting one random person at a conference or at MCon, which is at Unconference, or at a Raid Guild event or something, can really change your outlook or change your whole trajectory on life. So that's kind of the moral of that story, I think. Generally, since 2017, it's been like 7, 8 years. I've contributed to OpenSea, Gitcoin, Liquidity, lib3.pi, ethereum.org, and contributed very small amounts to things that have been pretty huge in crypto. So yeah, let's take my learning from that is basically this question about why do most projects fail? Why do most DAOs fail? And I guess it can be just about startups in general. Why do startups fail? And for me, I think the most common reason is not the tech was too hard, or our team wasn't smart enough, or people who are committing themselves fully to something can build it. The building the things is not necessarily the hardest part. The hard part is not quitting, not burning out, not running out of money, not creating things that you stop having fun while you're doing it, and then you don't feel motivated to build anymore. And the secret to staying in crypto this long and being able to contribute to things that have been massive like OpenSea is actually just staying, keep on building longer and keep on focusing on growth and not quitting. And so you have to optimize your life and how you go about building things and how you go about growing as a person, around not quitting if you really want to build some things that are huge. So, yeah, okay. And the last one is being demotivated. And I think there's been a ton of just, I guess, sadness. And I have seen so many people quit crypto in the last 6 months, in the last year, just watching as we're in a bear market, as it's hard to get product market fit for real products, and it seems like scams or very PvP apps are more adopted or get more press, or all these things. And you have basically a choice when you want to build things, and I think it's a good reminder. This is just kind of an example of when you want to build a product, maybe you want to launch a crowdfunding product. I should have put the Yeeter on here. So apologies for that to Deacon and the other contributors here. But you basically have a choice between doing things that are high trust and doing things that are low trust. And the low trust things might be fun for a little bit. But for me anyway, it's not going to be fulfilling, and it's not going to be something that is going to change the world or is going to, have a lasting legacy. So personally, I can't work on things that are low trust like that, because I know that I'm going to quit eventually. I'm going to burn out. I'm going to stop having fun, and I'm going to be demotivated if I do that. So picking the right project and focusing on things that are higher trust, is more interesting to me. So yeah, just expanding on that, how to not get discouraged while you're growing, while you're building things, making friends and growing together. I've had my business partner Patrick for several years. We've been building smaller projects. Eventually, we raised a few $1 million for our startup together, and being able to have a couple people in a close circle is pretty great. I saw this comedian a few days ago. He was like, "Hey, I don't need 100 friends. Americans have convinced themselves that they need 1,000 friends. Give me 3 guys. 3 guys can topple a country. If you got three bad motherfuckers, you can do anything, right?" And I really think that's true. Building a close circle and figuring out other people, finding other people, and surrounding yourself with folks from Raid Guild or otherwise that have vision and are really gonna push, I think is one of the keys here. Yeah, keys to just staying in longer. Another example, we used to use truffle. Somebody give me a react, pick a truffle react, and do that if you ever learned truffle. Deacon. Fire emoji react for truffle. No? Okay. Thank you, Dan. Yeah, we got Loaf, we got Sam, we got a couple. Truffle was slow as fuck. Yeah, so Truffle was a smart contract framework that developers used, and it was the first one really for Ethereum development, really the first one for crypto development in general as a coding library. There was some stuff for Bitcoin before, but I wouldn't really call them, actual frameworks. And there was this moment in probably about 2019 where everything switched from Truffle to Hardhat because Hardhat was a million times better. And if you were on top of it, if you were an early hard hat user in the first days of hard hat, you're just moving 10 times faster than everyone who's still using truffle. And you can make a lot of money. You can build a lot of stuff a lot faster by switching. And then there was this moment in 2021 about where everything switched from hard hat to Foundry. And all of a sudden, before everyone had caught up with Foundry, when there's still only a few hundred users of it, uh, it became much easier to write fuzz tests for your code. Before, you had to learn Echidna and other more complex libraries or find auditors to write fuzzing tests for you. And you can go in 2021, you could go get paid 10, 20, $30,000 for a weekend of coding Foundry fuzzing tests because there were only, a few hundred of us who knew how to do that. Right. And so if you're early to these tools and you learn how these things work right away, and you see this is the direction that not just the market is going in terms of products, but the way that the industry is going in terms of standardizing developer tools, there's multiple ways to be early, and there's multiple ways to, really make it here by learning and growing. So that's basically how I got hired at OpenSea. Was I went into one of their public repos and I fixed one of their Foundry tests and then DM them and say, hey, you should hire me. And they did. Right. And, that is still available. That's still an option for people, but you have to be good. And the last thing about don't getting discouraged and like how to not quit is to remember what initially drew you into Raid Guild or to crypto in general. For me, it was this idea about making access to financial products easier for everyone. I was radicalized in 2008. My family almost lost our home to the banking crisis in the US, and I just really hated banks. It seems very unfair to me that when Jeff Bezos wants to buy a new $200 million super yacht, which he did, then he just borrows against Amazon stock without selling it or paying taxes. But that's not really available as a financial primitive for normal people. And it is in DeFi. So actually, contributing, even if you're not focused on the finance part, if you're focused on identity or dev tools, or it all kind of contributes to these goals for me. And coming back to these original messages about why I wanted to go 100% on crypto, why I wanted to focus on this every couple weeks, every couple months is really helpful for keeping me motivated and keeping me working on the things that I know can make a really huge difference to the world. So that's my story, and those are my tips. Don't quit. Stay in the industry as long as you can. Keep building. And the best way to keep building is to structure your life, structure what you're learning around not burning out, around keeping up with new stuff, and yeah. So that's it. That's what I got. Thank you. Appreciate it. Hopefully that was not too weird for all the tech talks that you're having today. But yeah, thanks.
No, that was great, man. Thank you so much for coming by and sharing that story. One part you were talking about, like, well, it reminded me, everyone knows the metacartel thing about the Ubuntu thing about, like, go far together, go fast alone. But
Yeah.
One of our other taglines, which was, like, the second one under that, was, like, don't take ourselves too seriously. And I think that's, like, you can burn out if you start, like, especially in this space where everything's, all the financial stuff feels so permanent.
Right.
We had a lawyer come on yesterday, and she was like, talking about markets and how it's, she wasn't necessarily saying this, but, there's like some irresponsibility to freeing something into the market because it's out of your control at that point. But still, I don't know. Just let things rip and don't take yourself so seriously is a good point, I think.
Like when I learned Solidity, I wasn't trying to, create a new financial system from scratch, right? I was literally trying to impress a girl that I liked. That's literally how I started. Like it doesn't have to be serious. It can be whatever's interesting, whatever is going to keep you going, and that is, one of the keys to success here, I think.
Hey,
Awesome.
Joseph, thanks so much for the talk. It was really actually inspiring, and um, there's a lot of folks here. I think you missed the intros, but there were a lot of people that have similar thoughts about, some of the entrenched systems in place. So hopefully, a lot of folks that will resonate with your messaging. My next point, I had a question. What do you think are the most needed things to be built in the space right now? Great question.
Most needed things. I mean, man, there's so many. Do you want me to make you a list of like low-hanging fruit?
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Okay, I'll send the list. I'll make it as a blog or something this week.
Awesome.
But
Cover
yeah,
Joseph.
there's a ton.
Yeah.
There's so many green fields right now, guys. There's still so much to build. There's still so much that's missing. Just look at the dev stack. Go build a Web 2 payment app with uh with Stripe API and whatever other things over there. The one that lets you log into all the bank accounts. Go try to build an app with Capital One API, and then build an app with crypto and see like, okay, what are the differences in dev experience and what are the tools that we're missing? There's still so much. There's so much opportunity. I really believe that.
For sure. And it's also like burgeoning too. Like we know we just talked about DPIN. There's RWAs, this AI thing is popping off. Like there are so many like rabbit holes to explore. I think also it's like you said, being structured, not burning out. What Deegan said, staying, keeping it like light and not taking ourselves too seriously is super important. Is there anything out of all those things that like are happening that has caught your attention recently?
Yeah, I'm really excited about the science stuff, DeSci, decentralized science things. There's bio bio.xyz is a new project. There's so many problems in funding sciences and academia and who owns this stuff after a scientist gets a grant. There's I don't know. There's so many experiments to do there. That's one thing I'm really excited about. I do think most of the world's trade, like most value, will eventually be settled in stable coins, and stablecoin market is probably like still 1% of the size that it's gonna be or less. Uh, Stablecoins are like the 13th largest holder of U.S. Treasuries now, and eventually it will be number one, just because it's growing faster than others. Uh, so there's still so much room for experiments in stablecoins, for experiments in science and ownership, and yeah, I will put a list together later actually because that sounds fun.
I think it's
Hell yeah.
interesting because we go through these different cycles, and it's like NFTs are dead now, and it's like no, we haven't even scratched the surface of what we could do with this tech. Or ICOs are dead, or DAOs are dead, or whatever. Like
Right.
that narrative
I mean,
doesn't make sense.
the the meme coin launching, platforms are just they're just ICOs.
Right. It's a new flavor.
They're just a barrier, right? Like we had NFTs in 2017, 2018, but it didn't pop off until 2021 when they lowered the bar for what you need to do to launch an NFT collection, right? Like you in 2018, if you launched an NFT and it was just pictures and it didn't have a website or it didn't have, a thing where you can view all the things on your website, like a lot of front end work, then no one would take you seriously. And then 2021, everyone's like, all right, just use OpenSea. Like, we're not building all this stuff again. Just use OpenSea, right? So the barriers to launching stuff just keeps going lower and lower, and whatever whatever barrier gets lowered next, by infrastructure or by creating trust. That was possible. 2021 NFT market was possible because OpenSea was so trusted, because you knew OpenSea is not going to rug you because it's a trusted, third party that you can trade on. So every project doesn't need to do all the work to build its own marketplace.
But they kind of ended up doing that anyways, right?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them.
But I think NFTs is a good one because it's even with what you guys are doing at Open Dollar. I mean, there's whole other classes of NFTs, like
Yep.
financial NFTs and real world asset NFTs. There's a lot of things that are, down membership NFTs. There's a lot of things that weren't really tackled in that first run.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you.
Um,
Thanks again for coming by, man. Go ahead.
yeah,
Yeah, shout out. Go
I don't
ahead.
want to talk to you, Joseph, but I know I saw you've been traveling a bit in the last couple of weeks, which I highly encourage, everyone to do as much as possible. Is there any takeaways that you had, just like kind of looking at
Yes.
other infrastructure or banking systems or trying to interface with
Yeah.
monetary systems?
Yeah. So the problem that I'll just go back here. This problem about financial access to all, everyone should have the same access to all financial tools, right? That's like freedom. I believe in that very strongly. That's like very American Western centric viewpoint. And in Korea, the banks are much better. There's just more financial services. They don't have investor accreditation laws that we have in the U.S., which prevents people who don't have 250K incomes or 2 million in cash from investing in startups. They have different laws, right? But in the U.S., we have very strict corporate structure laws. So if you own stock in Disney, you own Disney, right? The companies here are owned by the stockholders. But in Korea, the laws are different, and so the value system is different, and they don't have the same corporate structure law that we do. The companies are actually owned by the board, not the shareholders. And so some of the largest companies in Korea have just completely rugged all their retail investors by transferring all the assets in the company to a new company that just happens to be owned by all the board members, right? And so more than 30% of people in Korea buy crypto because of that, because they don't actually own stocks and their stock market is a joke. And I didn't know that. I didn't know that there's like, different regulatory rules means that people have different access to ownership, different access to financial tools in different countries, and our values and what we want out of crypto products are completely different because of that. Right? So people in Korea don't really use DeFi very much. Their like usage is very low, but they really want to own U.S. startups. They really want to own international DeFi companies because they've been rugged by the stock market there before. Whereas I think the U.S. has like less ownership and it's more about having access to tools. So yeah, that was one of my main takeaways. Definitely having regional strategies that reflect the value systems of the people there, I think, is really important. And yeah, spending a few weeks in Korea really was helpful for me to see that. Sorry, it's probably way more than you wanted, but
That was awesome. No, that's
thanks.
great. I mean, I didn't know that, and I'm sure like you can even map out all these different monetary systems and how they all have different whatever cultural or um, yeah, just different regulatory systems. All right. Any other questions for Joseph while we have here? We got a pretty solid crowd. I mean, this is
Yeah,
amazing.
this is awesome.
I was just like I popped into like the Gitcoin Twitter space and they have like 40 people in there on Twitter. So it's pretty wild that we got some pretty badass people in here joining us. So last call for any questions. Otherwise, Joseph, thanks again for your time, and then we'll just kind of kick off into our.
Yeah,
Okay.
can you hear me? Sorry, I was muted. Cool. I think you can hear me, right?
Yes.
I've been trying to ask a question and I just realized I've been muted. Yeah, so we're mostly builders here. So for us, probably building is the fun and easy part. I wanted to ask you about regarding marketing. That's how do you approach that as a builder?
You need to make friends with marketing people.
So you don't do it yourself, right? You just have dedicated people.
Yeah, I mean, you should do some yourself because dedicated people usually want to get paid, right? But I think having a diversity of skill sets is, going to be much better for a startup to succeed.
Yeah,
This is a whole.
Web3.
Tay says this is a whole topic.
Yeah, yeah. Web3
I'm an
marketing is
engineer.
also
I'm an
so
engineer.
cringy, so cringy most of the time. It's crazy.
Yeah, so don't do the cringy part. Just do the real part. Sometimes you got to play the game a little bit though, which I don't like it, but je ne sais pas.
Well, also,
I'm sorry,
Cup of
that's
Joseph,
big.
great Twitter follow. What are you gonna build next, Joseph? What do you want the cohort to build? You said you're gonna make a
what-
list. What are you building?
Yeah, I'll make you a list. I want to tokenize more stuff. I think if RWA is just a fancy buzzword for US T-bills, I'm gonna kill somebody. Or at least my head is gonna explode. There's so many more assets that are easy to price. Yeah, tokenize palm oil, tokenize coconuts, tokenize tokenize municipal bonds, tokenize renewable energy certificates. There's so much peaches, yeah, everything. And then make markets for them. There's a lot of stuff.
Are you still gonna build a bank as well, Cup of Joseph?
Yeah, I think we should buy a bank. I think eventually Raid Gill will have enough money in its treasury to just buy a small bank in Kansas, and then we'll just, start offering banking services and stuff. Raid Gill Bank, let's fucking go.
Son of a bitch, I'm in.
This is financial advice. Buy the bank.
Fuck yeah, awesome, dude. Thanks so
Yeah.
much for your time.
Yeah,
You can
thank
stick
you.
around. We'll keep
I'm
it
going
going.
to stick around. Shout out to EC Wireless. Shout out to Bacon. Shout out to Tay.
Heck yeah!
And thanks for having me.
Coffee Crusher is searching for a bank in Kansas somewhere. Thank you. All right, y'all. I don't know how we're gonna follow that up because we just gotta go into our slides and talk about some cohort stuff. But I think we'll just keep it going. If Deacon's here, let's just hop in the slides. We'll just try to jam for the next hour. Thanks everyone for joining us. Some fun faces here, great builders. Don't need to hear me talk about nonsense, but we'll get into it. We'll just jump into the meat of the topics here. We're in the kind of the getting into build week. We are in it. This is episode 3, officially titled Prototype. So hopefully folks are starting to think about projects and things they want to build. Hopefully we've got some inspiration from our speakers and our workshops. Just shout outs to all of them. I think we're gonna jump into just I don't see anyone super new here or anyone maybe that hasn't introed themselves. I think Coffee, I think I heard an intro from you. So if this is your first time, let me know. Otherwise, we'll just kind of get into it. Starting with our props, we got a new little slide that we've added to. Not super heavy on this stuff, but you guys know the format now. Next slide, please. Let's just pause for a moment, and then we want to record some props for people. So yeah, Shocky, you can definitely have a break. No big deal. Big props to Cup of Joseph for sure. And then if anyone wants to give any props and unmute, please do so now. Take some notes.
I just want to give props to the whole Raid Guild membership, just because I'm just going through the cohort before, this is just so impressive. You guys are putting so much into this, and so I just want to shout out to you guys because you guys have done a really amazing job. This is really useful. This is great content.
Yes, thanks, Coffee. We really appreciate that. And it really it's a lot of work, big shout outs to Deacon. He's got kids running around and family that he has to help support. He's got 2 kids while he's doing this in each arm. But we have a lot of great, a lot of good feedback like this that helps, and it's really motivating to get people into this. I think that's one of my biggest drivers here. So it's actually invigorating for the guild itself to get new people here that are excited and want to build. And then I think the culture of Raid Guild is wanting to help people that have these genuine intentions, right? So yeah, thanks to all the people here that showed up. I really appreciate you guys.
Props to Tay.
Yo, check the mic 1, 2. Squeak, squeak, it's Hammy G. Descending into the abyss where things get funky. See, this ain't no Disney flick, no cheesy cartoon chase. This Moloch's lair, a bureaucratic soul-crushing space like Dante's Inferno, with more paperwork and fees into money.